spaceships. Forget about spaceships. Forget about spaceships.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Ward, MakingStarWars.net. A little bit sunburned. Wish I could say I was a little more bronze, but I'm just red. Because if I go out in the sun for 1 second, I just become a Sith stormtrooper of some kind. Was just doing some experiments with the camera and it almost totally worked. And nope, here we are. We're back to square one using the old camera on the computer. That's the way it goes. There was a couple of just random bits that I wanted to get to. I didn't plan on streaming over the weekend and was doing experiments with the camera, trying to get that stuff working. And then now I feel like talking about these little random strands of news. And we got some people showing up in the chat. I didn't put this out that I was doing this anywhere. I just kind of went live. What's up, Tyler? Good to see you, dude. So there was a Patty Jenkins quote, which I could be wrong, but I think Tyler is a fan of. And it says, it's an entirely different way of working. I'm on the phone, all of them, and doing meetings with everybody involved in Star Wars all the time. It's fairly free to do this. I'm fairly free to do the story we want to do. But you really need to know who's doing what, where it goes. And basically, she says that she's free to do the story she wants to do. And I think that's pretty evident. I don't think that they accept pitches and hire directors for things that they don't want to do. The one thing that my question is about the backstory of the whole film is, did Patty Jenkins pitch the Rogue Squadron film from her angle, or did they say, let's do a Rogue Squadron film, get Patty? Was Patty hired like how Rogue One went? Or was this a film that was pitched onto itself? Because you kind of see it going both ways with how this story seems to be unfolding from what we've heard. And she says, it's going amazing. I had been on it already for 6 months before I even announced that. And I think that adds up with something that I heard. I heard that the video, remember how there was the earnings call, and then all of a sudden we have this video of Patty coming down a runway or something? I heard that video was shot for Star Wars Celebration that was canceled, which makes sense. So they would have announced the new Star Wars movie at that celebration had it not been canceled due to the virus. And when that happened, we got that video on the earnings call. I think that's how it unfolded anyway. It's kind of sketchy from memory, but if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody's going to be hurt by that. She says, I'm so excited about the story and excited that where the next chapter of Star Wars is going, which is such a responsibility and such an opportunity to really start some new things. So obviously what you would expect. I like that it, early on, it doesn't seem like there is friction between wanting to make a certain story and Lucasfilm wanting a different story. Because it kind of seems like in the past, Lucasfilm has hired people to make one thing and then change their mind. But I have a feeling that won't happen with old Patty Jenkins. If so, she'll just Leroy Jenkins them, right? On the other side of things, I guess we got Mandalorian. Some confirmation. There's a lot of casting calls going out right now for the new season, and it's for Huckleberry, and the expected status of the release date is September 20th. When I say release date, actually, I mean start date. Sorry. The start date of filming is September 20th. So the people who they're looking for need to be open in that window. Now, that could mean that filming starts before then if it's just main cast members and stuff like that. But with what they're doing, this makes sense. So I wouldn't contest this or anything like that. It seems to line up and make the most sense for how everything was shuffled around and where Mando's falling. I think that pretty much means it's unlikely we're going to get Mando in 2021 at all, which was expected. I think most of us figured at this point that wouldn't be the case, right? But you never know. I mean, they could they could do something weird with the season one of these times. Like, I'm kind of surprised in a way that it, like, they haven't kind of micro-dosed some of the stuff out and they're doing full seasons, because they could do whatever release window they want. But on a side note, yesterday we did a impromptu live stream too, and on that one, the Star Wars Vision stuff was hitting from the expo. I totally slipped my mind about that, and then I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up doing like the lamest reaction video ever, where I was like, huh, okay, is that Boba Fett is that a Boba Fett spaceship? But when I watched it again, and it was clarified to me, it was Boba Fett flying at the camera. It doesn't sound like that stuff is canon. It sounds like it might be canon if they want it to be, or if it fits in with certain aspects, but there's all kinds of elements where they didn't want to have the hands tied of the creators. So they just let them do whatever they wanted. But and you guys, I'm going to butcher the names of the studios, I'm sure, because these are the things that I don't even know who most of them are. And when I do know who they are, I probably never have to say them out loud. But Kamikaze Duga, The Duel. So the first episode is called The Duel, or the first short film. Kamikaze by Kamikaze Duga. Geno Studio, Twin Engine. Lop and Ocho. Is Ocho BB-8? No. Studio Colorido, Twin Engine, is doing Tatooine Rhapsody. Now, I think Tatooine Rhapsody that's like probably a Bohemian Rhapsody reference, sort of, and is that rock opera that was mentioned in the short little release video that we got. And honestly, that's the one I'm the most excited for, because I think it has to be so insane that it's brilliant, and it's probably going to be hated because, and I don't like something just because it's hated, but it's probably going to be brilliant and hated at the same time. And that's great, right? Trigger, that is doing an episode called The Twins and The Elder. Cinema Citrus with a K, Cinema with a K. The Village Bride. Science Saru is doing Akakiri and TOB1 or 2B1, which that one looks like maybe the one I'm also like the second most interested in. And Production IG is doing The Ninth Jedi. Production IG should have done like an IG-88 one, right? Production IG-88. Come on. It's just like sitting there for you. So something on the StarWars.com, if I remember right, says Star Wars Vision storytelling didn't have to fit in the timeline. In developing the series, Lucasfilm made the decision to let creators tell the stories they want to tell, whether they featured established or original characters, without a need to tie it into the larger chronology. So there you go. It's not gonna be canon whatsoever. And like I said, I would imagine if one of them hits, then we might hear it referenced, and then maybe that will be like the canon version of that story, like the reference itself. But yeah. But I think that's fine, because sometimes we overthink things because of canon anyways. So what else did I have here? I just closed my thing. Oh yeah, there was a really, really cool article about Waldron, who's writing the Kevin Feige Star Wars production, and he confirms that he's still working on it. This is from like a week ago or two now. Kept meaning to get to it, but the more I hear about Waldron, the more I'm like, man, this guy is just the best. I'm actually like, I don't care about a Kevin Feige Star Wars because of Kevin Feige. I'm like, yeah, let's just see what it is. Sounds fun. Who knows, right? I don't like that Marvel flavor. Doesn't make me go, yeah, because Marvel has so many flavors of stuff that I do like, and so much stuff that I just don't care about. And so, does that mean that if he does the Star Wars thing, I'm going to care about where he takes it? Don't know. But so in a couple of I pulled a couple of quotes from the Vanity Fair piece, and it just mentions like Dan Harmon had finally seen the light in 2018. Harmon and his Ricky and Morty, it says Ricky and Morty, but I think it Rick and Morty team decided to staff blind, with writers submitting anonymous cold opens for the fourth season of his irreverent an animated journey through time and space featuring a young boy, Morty, and his drunk Doc Brown-esque grandfather, Rick. So basically what they did was they had blind submissions about who would write the best cold opening, and Waldron was the one who they picked both of his. And then basically they were like, well, Dan Harmon goes on to say, and Dan Harmon doesn't seem to give praise like easily from the stuff I know of him. He seems like pretty hard to impress. And Harmon was so impressed that he not only hired Waldron to write for season 4, he offered him a showrunner position for season 5. We're like, okay, he's a little green, but he's moving so quickly and he learns so fast and he's such a hard worker. We're crazy for doing it. Let's take a chance on this kid. And Harmon says, he's like, guys, I'm so flattered by this. I have a meeting at Marvel this afternoon. I think I might be running a show for them. And that's the story of how we loved, semi-supported, semi-discouraged, and definitely lost Michael Waldron. So yeah, and there's some stuff about him and like he was on the their like softball team, and he was just like giving they were the worst team, and he was giving really good, encouraging kind of talks. And there's some other stuff about that wrestling show that he wrote for, and how they just couldn't get like it cast correctly, and it just couldn't really get moving. But obviously Star Wars isn't going to have those kinds of problems, and I am loving his Marvel work that he's doing on Loki. The writing is super solid. It's like I said, it feels like Doctor Who in a really good way. It talks about how he wrote a script for like a time travel kind of story, and I don't think it was ever made. And then he won't let people read the script now because they're using it in different elements of it. It sounds like in the work that he's doing now is what Vanity Fair assumes. So when Waldron left for Marvel in 2019, he went with Rick and Morty with his Rick and Morty experience, his love of wrestling, a time travel romance screenplay, and very little actual comic book knowledge. And he goes on to say, I grew up a pro wrestling guy, probably more of a Star Wars guy. But my love for Marvel came from the movies. And so yeah, and then so he goes from there to Loki. And that's what's, I think, once again, it's that same kind of experience where the guy didn't know anything about comic books, but they're not making comic books. They're making a TV show. And the fandom aspect of it doesn't seem to really matter, you know? And then I like these parts. They go on to say, he just wanted to write a really great Indiana Jones-esque blockbuster. Says, this is Jeff Loveness. He nailed it. It's kind of a throwback. And then this is about Doctor Strange. His wife is a physician's. His wife is a physician's assistant. He really got to the heart of his character, how doctors do have to be cocky. He got the Hawkeye Pierce energy for Strange. So, yeah, and basically goes on and it says, you've heard all my references here: Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Kathleen Kennedy. She's made so many of my favorite movies. So to get to collaborate with both of those entities is a dream come true. So for what it's worth, when I look at this guy's body of work right now, I am not excited for the Kevin Feige Star Wars. I'm excited for the Michael Waldron Star Wars, if that makes sense. And yeah, he says Star Wars is definitely sticky because this is Harmon, Dan Harmon. Star Wars is and I like this quote a lot. Star Wars is definitely sticky if you make a certain brand of nerd happy. You're actually middle fingering an adjacent breed of nerd. If you take it too seriously, you're doing it wrong. If you don't take it seriously enough, you're definitely doing it wrong. It needs that total joy of the greatest franchise ever, along with the kind of swagger. I do think that Waldron would make a good match for that, but I don't know if he would make a good match for the machine that's carrying that stuff. Yeah, and he kind of goes on to sort of shit on the Disney machine in a way, I think. I remember when he said he was going to Marvel, and I was like, oh, God, that's perfect. He's going to be such a team player, Harmon says. Orson Welles is not going to work at Marvel. The Russo brothers, they were collaborators always, first and foremost. That also didn't surprise me. There's a tremendous mandate at Marvel about all for one and respecting the franchise. Their leader, Kevin Feige, leads by example. If your ego is simultaneously powerful but flexible enough to fit that pipe, you are rewarded and you have a home there forever. It's the most obvious place in the world for Waldron. He is an Avenger. So, sounds like he thinks he's going to fit well. And that's great because I really, really, really think that writing on Star Wars is sometimes not as important as the eye candy. Like you could skate by for a long time on action, but then eventually it starts to fall apart. And with things like Loki, like I said, it feels like Doctor Who that's really expensive. But that's because, in a way, Doctor Who has to have a lot of character development, a lot of character interactions, because in a way, they're kind of like the set space is limited. Kind of like the earlier Star Trek, The Next Generation stuff. When you watch that, like there's not that many sets. So you actually end up with like a lot of character development, sometimes for better or worse. Sometimes it's inconsistent in some of these places. But yeah, so that's what we know of the Michael Waldron Star Wars, and I have to imagine that they've been writing it for some time now, and so there has to be script. I would have to think at this point that there's some scripts have been finished on that, and I'm kind of hoping we kind of just get surprised with like all of a sudden, hey, the virus isn't destroying the world, and it's just bam, it's just in production like really 1 year after the Patty Jenkins Star Wars. That's my hope. And here's a random thought. I do not in any way think that it's accurate. But the Taika Waititi Star Wars poster that looks like the old Ben-Hur poster in a way? It does look like the Ben-Hur poster, but what if it looks like the Schoolhouse Rocks poster? I'm just saying. Wouldn't that be weird if it was an animated Schoolhouse Rock style Star Wars movie? I mean, I do think it's alluding to Ben-Hur. I hope so. But if it wasn't, that would be hilarious because it has that same kind of logo, if you will. Really quickly, let's see what the chat's saying. Tyler says Visions actually seems pretty interesting. I liked what I saw. Yeah, me too. It's like we haven't seen it before in live action, so cool. Let's see what it has to give. Nicolas says Puerto Rico in the house. Wow, thanks. All the way. Always cool to see people from all over the world here. That's one of the most fascinating parts. Tyler says, go into Galaxy's Edge tomorrow. First time at the Florida park. Oh, wow. You're out there in Florida, huh? Jeez, man. That's cool. Yeah, I want to go. Like, I had another friend who was at the California one, like, yesterday and talking to me about it. And, man, I wish I could go. Until my kids are vaccinated and they could go with me, I would feel like such a jerk if I went without them. And, if I caught something and gave it to them, you know what I mean? So I'm still kind of living that mask life, if you will. And, but I can't wait to be able to go back, and I hope I can go back soon. What else was there? Oh yeah, one thing we didn't talk about. Indira Varma. There's a photo that's been floating around of her from the set of Kenobi, and she's like dressed like an Imperial officer. Does it mean she's an Imperial officer in the series? I don't think it does. It would be like if we got Cassian and Jin in their Imperial costumes. I mean, it could be one of those situations where they dress up and pretend to be, undercover or whatever, pretend to be Imperials when they're not. So, good indication that she's an Imperial, but I don't think it's confirmed, if you will. So yeah, it is what it is. What else we got? Hey, what's up, Mr. Eldred Death Valley? How are you, dude? And Tyler says, yeah, better safe than sorry. Oh, yeah, totally. Hey, what's up, Stickman? I'm a Florida fan too. Love Galaxy's Edge. I drag my wife regularly. Don't. I hope not by the hair. Yeah. Yeah. In the before times, as they call it, we were always down at the Disneyland park, and it was great. It was a really fun way to spend the day, and at that time, I actually decided to homeschool my kids for their early education and get them way ahead. And so it was like, okay, I could do that, work from home, and then we could use Disneyland in between. Like sometimes we would wake up. All right, guys, if you guys get one subject down, we could go out to Disneyland and do the second one. We'd drive out there, do math in the morning, drive out there, get something to eat, do okay. Let's do our reading right now, reading and writing, whatever happened to be. Go okay, all right, let's go to Galaxy's Edge. We would go there, play. Then we'd want to rest after being there for a while. It was just like the easiest way to get school done and work done and stuff like that, writing done for me, and loved it. But now they've done away with the passes. That was their big excuse to get rid of the passes was COVID-19, and they ended up giving me money back on like one of the passes like a year later. Excuse me, almost a year later, and I appreciated that money and that time out of the blue. But that said, I wish they would open up passes again because that's like the other side of things is that every time I go, it's going to cost me about $390. And that's just not worth it. It's not worth it when I used to basically live there on the open pass holder days. I would love to. That I hope they do something with those passes. I mean, it'll never happen, but I wish I could just buy a pass just to Galaxy's Edge. I don't need the other stuff. You know, it doesn't really. I don't really care. I don't really care about going on the other stuff. I just want to go to the Star Wars part. That's what's cool about the Universal stuff here and everything like that. Is I think some days you can just do Harry Potter Land, right? I've never been though, so I think that's how it works. But if it doesn't, it is what it is. Yeah. This week I want to do some more stuff on the streams if possible. I found, like I was talking about, I found this, and I was looking at it, and I'm not sure how we would do it. Like, would we just do it in the chat? Would we how would you be part of? How would we pick families? I don't know yet. I mean, we could get you guys on the stream. We could take volunteers for the stream and straight up do it. And I'll be Steve Harvey. I'll put some electrical tape, give myself the big mustache, and when you guys say something naughty, I'll go whatever, So yeah, I looked at the questions very quickly, and they looked really corny. But if you guys are fun, I think it'll be fun for what it's worth. If I could make it fun, I will try. But yeah, Star Wars Family Feud, it's a thing. And then Tyler says, "You see the Brendan Wayne quote? It sounded like he's part of Book of Boba." Brendan Wayne. Who's Brendan Wayne again? I know the name, but I am. Oh, Brendan Wayne. Yeah. I talked about that yesterday. Sorry, Brent. Duh. Yeah, that's John Wayne's grandson. Yeah, he's definitely a part of Book of Boba. And the question I came to from that was, does that mean the Mando is in Book of Boba, or does it simply mean that he's a stunt performer on it? Because his body type is a little bit different than the Jango Boba style. So I don't know if he would be playing that part, but you never know. You never do. It could be anything on there, but I would have to say he's definitely in there. And, oh yeah, no, and it's cool, Tyler. It's yeah, it's I don't expect everybody to see every single aspect of the show. especially when I've been doing it as much as I've been doing it lately. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to get to tonight. I just wanted to make it a really short one because I promised to myself that I wouldn't do them on the weekends, that I would try to recharge, but I felt like I had the energy and I had the time tonight. So I wanted to hit a couple of things that we weren't able to get to. And, but tomorrow afternoon around 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when I plan on jumping back on. And we'll do this tomorrow and it will be fun. But I want to thank everyone who managed to get here, even though I didn't promote this one. I didn't want to do a build up like I'm starting at 8 o'clock or 8:30 or whatever for like a half hour show. But a little bit of news I figured was better than no news, especially if you had a good 4th of July, which I hope you all did, and you were just hanging out. For what it's worth, you can support the channel by becoming a channel member on YouTube. If that's not your jam, I think I got the old Patreon back, and I will set that up tomorrow, and you can support via Patreon if that is your preferred way. But nobody has to support the channel. It's just if you want to. And what is Real Ben Maynard just dropping by to say hi. I can't wait to join you soon. It'll be fun to catch up. Yeah. How about tomorrow, Ben? If you're not busy tomorrow, about around 1, come and join me tomorrow. It will be a good time. If you're busy, no worries. And I think I'm going to have a few other people joining me this week. I probably shouldn't say who it is because in case it falls through. But yeah. And yesterday's show, hang out with Thrawn Kill from from Thrawn Talk podcast, and that was a fun time. Short little 4th of July one. But I think this week I'm going into my 1 month straight of streaming, if you don't include the weekends. But I also did the weekend this time. So what do you make of that, huh? But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. And click on whatever bells and whistles you have to know when I'm going live. Because sometimes I just won't say I am because I'm lazy. But I'll try to give you a heads up when I can. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your 4th of July weekend. And have a good week. Bye. Oh yeah, I'm gonna end with this because I love to end with this because I love this thing.
It's not about spaceships. It's not about spaceships. It's not about spaceships. It's not about spaceships.